Hello and welcome to Judy's Creations in Crochet. And today is March the 30th, 2023. And I'm coming to you from southwestern Ontario in Canada. I'm just an hour away from the southernmost tip of Canada and very close to Detroit, Michigan, just to give you a feel for where I'm located. And I like to talk mostly about finished objects. That's how I started. I had a huge stash of finished objects. During COVID, I was stockpiling everything I made in preparation for craft shows when they started up again. And then craft shows just never happened in my area. And I decided that I would at least share some of my finished objects with you who have become my regular viewers. And but it has since morphed into showing more whips and showing a fair bit of yarn acquisitions. And the yarn acquisitions that I show are generally luxury yarns or hand-dyed yarns, some gradient cakes, but mostly hand-dyed yarns. Leave that alone. I have a furry little fellow that wants to get into something there. I want to welcome all of you. If this is the first time, I hope you enjoy what you see and hit the subscribe button and come back and spend some more time with me and my regular followers who I want to thank for being so faithful. I really do appreciate your comments and your thumbs up and watching my videos. And by the way, apparently it's very important that you watch the video all the way to the end. Somehow that helps in the YouTube algorithms. So welcome. I hope it's a nice, bright, sunny day where you are. It's a little bit overcast and I think it wants to rain here today. So I'm going to start, as I always do, with what am I wearing? And this is my only finished object for this week. And I showed it to you last week. It is a poncho, and it was made with a yarn I got from Ice Yarn. This is no particular pattern. I did start out following a pattern, but then, as you know, it was in my whip pile. I call it my UFO pile. And when I picked it back up, of course, I didn't know what pattern, so I just finished it with straight double crochets and added eyelets where I felt like it. Now you can't see it. Everybody says, oh, that's a nice gray poncho. So I'm going to bring this up real close, and you can see there, it's not real gray. It's a creamy color, but it has purple metallic, and there at the top corner, you can see it's actually sparkling a little bit. It is a purple metallic. You can see it down there at the bottom point too. It's a metallic. But it gets lost in all of the mohair, and I showed you how frustrating that yarn was to work with because the mohair kept getting longer and longer, and I had piles of mohair, and I had, like I said, at the end of every ball, I'd have anywhere from 6 to 8 or 9 feet extra. I just cut it off and threw it away. And I'm really glad it's finished, and I can wear it today. So that's my finished object for the week. Then I'm going to show you now the things I've been working on. And here's a big surprise. I'm working on 2 items back and forth, and you know that's a very rare thing for me. But when I finished this, the first thing I wanted to do was start on a lacy wrap for the Mother's Day gift market that's coming up, and I'll talk more about that in a couple of minutes. I think a lot of you would be familiar with this wrap. It's from Crystal at Bag O' Day, and put it right side up this way. This is how it's looking so far. She did it in black, but of course her tutorial is in a different color. I think you can start to see it developing. It's very, very soft, and it's not hard. It's just that every row is just slightly different, but you can figure the pattern as you're going because it is pretty regular in the pattern. And I am using Lion Brand's Amazing Lace, and they call it a 1. I was going to double it, but I thought it would be too heavy because I really did want something light, very lightweight. I figure out how to do this. Now, it doesn't look much lighter than any other fingering weight I use, but most fingering weights I'm able to use a 4. This calls for, I think it's a 2.5, yeah, 2.25, but I'm using a number 3. It seemed to work nice in my estimation. I'll talk more about this hook in a couple of minutes. So I started on this. It wasn't hard, but you can see it is quite wide. It's my whole wingspan, and it is very fine, and I knew I didn't have the patience for long-term work on this. I just thought, I can't work hours and hours for several days. I needed a break. I'm almost done the first, second, third, fourth. I'm almost done the 5th row. And you can see it's not building fast. I'm hoping to make it about 20 inches wide. I don't know how wide, how long it is. I'll measure it when I'm done. So after working on this for one evening, I said, oh, I can't concentrate on this every day. So I decided I would pick up something that would be a little heavier and easier to work on. So I knew I wanted to make myself this cardigan. I talked about it a few weeks ago. If you remember, I finished, I don't know, within the last month, I finished this sweater done in Pima cotton. And I said, far too heavy to wear as like a pullover. And I had all kinds of Pima cotton left in some other colors. Here's one of the colors, and here's the other color. I had enough for another sweater here, and I had more than a sweater quantity of this color. And I said, well, now what am I going to do with them all? And then I got the idea that I wanted to make a hexagonal cardigan. I have one cardigan, a plain black one. It gets worn a lot, and I thought it'd be nice to have a second cardigan. Fell on the floor here. So why not use this, which was a good weight. Excuse me. And make a cardigan that I can wear outside. My throat is bothering me this morning. So that's what I did. I decided to make a hexagonal cardigan. So I started on one side, and it's going to be mostly that teal kind of color. It's called Dragonfly. That's called Dragonfly. And this one is called Rose Taupe. See, it's a dull rosy color. Rose Taupe. And the Dragonfly is the one I like the best. So I was going to do something funky and change my mind, and I like this so much next to the navy because I started at the center with a navy. Now, this is a hexagon, 6 sides, which is funky until you fold it the proper way. This is not big enough yet, but when you fold it the proper way, you get the body and the sleeves. Turn it upright. This becomes the sleeve. This is under the arm, and this becomes the body. And I decided to put a little bit of color in it for contrast, so it wouldn't be too dull. And then you make a second one, and I'm on this. This is not big enough yet, but I wanted to get the second one made this size and then put it together and do some measuring to see how many rows I had to add to them. So here's the second one. I've just finished that contrast part, and I'm getting ready to add more rows of green. And I know this is not big enough. The only thing I don't like about this, because I like the warmth, it's going to be nice. It's kind of neat. But what I don't like is that every side, of course, grows at the same rate. And when you're all done, you're going to have, here's the one put together. You're going to have a very big armhole, because I don't know of any way to control what each side is. I mean, basically it's like a granny square, but there are 6 sides, and this is getting a little big for an armhole. But I've just decided that when I get the right size for the rest of my body, that'll be how long the sleeves are, and I'm going to go around and do double crochet 2 together all the way around to bring it in, and then I'll put a cuff on it. I also know that I may not be able to get it. I don't want to get this humongous, and I may not be able to get it wide enough here. So I'm thinking, before I join it in the back, because that's what you do, you join these center seams together in the back, I might do a row of just plain granny squares using these 3 colors and put a row in the middle at the back. And if I need some length, I might do a row of granny squares going all the way around at the bottom. I really am thinking that if I'm fairly close when I get this one done, then I will keep this sleeve from getting any wider than it is. And of course, when I'm all done, all you have to do is seam up the sleeves here, and on both sides, and you seam up the back along here, leaving the front open. And then I think I may go around the entire thing, the entire body, in the navy. We'll see what happens, but I'm thinking this sleeve has gotten big enough. It's down a fair distance. It is at my elbow or a little beyond. I want to keep it a little bit loose and baggy because it's going to be outdoor over whatever I'm wearing for the day. So maybe just adding a row of squares in the back will make it big enough to go around, because that's definitely not very big around. So that's the other thing I have been working on. And I did say I would be doing a square. I would be doing a cardigan with this. So I'm kind of happy with how this is going. I work on this one day, and then I work on this for, an evening, and then I let it go again. So that's the 2 items I'm working back and forth on at the moment. And hopefully by next week, I'll have at least one, if not both of them. I'll have that sweater done, I think, but I don't know. This is going to work very slowly. Now, I said I would talk to you about this hook. I got an order in the mail this week that I want to tell you about. I don't know how many of you have heard about the Dots hooks. That's what they're calling them, the Dots hooks that have been put out by We Crochet. We Crochet is the sister company of Little Knits, I believe it is. I'm pretty sure it's Little Knits. And they put out a series of hooks, different colors, with dots on them. Now, this is my 3.0, And this is partially why I got them. I don't have furls in the streamline that I use. Do not make anything less than a 4.0 millimeter. And when I'm doing the finer ones, I usually need a 3.5. Sometimes, like now, I'm using a 3. And these are supposed to be wonderful hooks. Everybody is talking about them because when they first released them, they sold out right away. I don't know, within a couple hours. And then they brought them back again, and apparently they sold out the first day. I could have got them the first day. I wasn't sure I wanted to get them, but when I was notified that they were back in stock again, and I was having trouble, excuse me, finding the smaller sizes, it goes all the way down to a 2. I said, you know what, I'm going to get a set. I can keep the small ones, and actually the other day, I'm missing one from this set. I gave I'm missing 2. I gave the 4 and the 4.5 to my girlfriend who's trying them out because she's just been using the straight metal hooks. I don't know if she has boy or if she has, I just went blank. What's the other one? Bates, Susan Bates. So I thought I would try it because, you know, it's hard to find a good 3. And I don't like those little metal ones. I gave all of my metal ones away. So they say they're better because it does have a bit of an ergonomic handle on it. It's not it's not as big as my furls, and the furls gets wide where I need it to get wide, which is down here where my thumb and index finger meet in what I call the crotch of my hand. That's where I need it to be wide. This is wider where you rest your thumb. I don't really care about the thumb rest, but I do have a clover hook that I measured these against, and the clover hook was about that long. So these are longer than the clover ones with the similar material on the handle, although these are thicker than the clover one. So they had the complete set with 9 hooks for, now this is US money, I think it was $24.98. But when they first released them, I'm thinking they released them on a very special price, $19.98. Might have even been $15.98. They were quite cheap when they put them out the first time. But even so, $24.98 for 9 hooks. It goes from number 2, the very smallest, and it goes by halves, so 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, all the way up to the largest one here, which is a 6.5. No, that's a 6. Is that larger? 5. 5. 3.5. I know it goes up to 6.5. 3.5, the 4 and 4.5 are gone. There's a 6. 5. I don't know. I know it's 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5. Oh, 6. I guess just straight 6 is the biggest one. No, 6.5, just up to 6. Now, the one thing I want to tell you is some people will love these hooks, and I can work with any style of hook when it comes to the hook, but my preference is that style. Now, I call this the inline, but I don't swear by me which is which. But this hook has a deeper throat. This doesn't. And this is not my favorite style of hook. So you tell me, is that a boy or is that a Susan Bates? I can't keep them straight. So I don't care for that hook as much as I like these with the deep throat. But I can work with it, and I am right now working with this number 3. So I will finish the wrap. I just got something in my eye. I will finish the wrap with this. So I don't have the whole set here right now. As I said, I gave a couple to my girlfriend, but I decided when I was buying them to get a second set. And this set is complete, hasn't even been opened, and I'm going to keep it and use it as a giveaway. I'm starting already to gather things for my great big anniversary, podiversary in September. And if I hit a milestone before then, maybe I'll put it in a giveaway then. But for right now, I have a set of these. If you're interested in trying them, we'll be giving them a try. I'll be putting them in a giveaway later in the year. And because I was ordering these hooks, I couldn't just order the hooks. I mean, you pay too much shipping for that little bit. So I ordered a little bit of yarn, and I got these two. The first one, these are both Chroma fingering weight. They have, it's 30% nylon, 70% superwash wool, and there's 396 yards. And yes, Knit Picks is the sister company. And a lot of what you buy is the wool from Knit Picks, but We Crochet and Knit Picks work back and forth. And this has a lot of pink in it as well, color changing, and it looked really pretty. So I got 2 balls of that, which would make a shawl, and I got 2 balls of this, and actually this is the color that's inside. They look like totally different balls of yarn, but this color is inside here somewhere, because I ordered 2 of the same. Maybe we can find the, well, you can see the blue in there. So it's these colors. So that's that came with the order, and I think I would like to make something with those fairly soon. Now, before I move on, the other thing I wanted to mention to you once more this week, I mentioned it last week, and that is the Facebook Mother's Day gift show, Mother's Day gift show, Mother's Day gift market. I found out a wee bit more about it, and I got another email from them, and it has a very good link. It has a link to use if you want to be a vendor, and it has a link if you just want to be a buyer. You can enter the Facebook page and decide which you want to be. I will provide the links in the description box below. And there is no charge to you if you just want to be a buyer. So if you just want to go and look around, yes, it's geared towards Mother's Day, but it won't be all Mother's Day items. It will be other crafts and things as well. So when you click the link, in order to join the page, I'm sure you've seen this a lot of places, they ask you a couple of questions in order to let you into the Facebook page, because it is a private page. And the first question they will ask is, did someone invite you? And I would appreciate, please, if you would put Judy's Creations, just Judy's Creations, as the person that invited you, because I get points for it towards a prize. Not that I'm going to win the prize, but it's nice to get counted. So I'm going to encourage you to join it, because I think it would be very interesting just to see all the things that people do and make. And it runs from April the 26th to April the 29th. I will have, right now, 10 postings, but I might get 5 more postings showing the things that I have made and that I will have for sale. I'm also going to get a 30-minute video, and on that I will just talk about my business and explain about hand-dyed yarn and all of that kind of thing. So I think it'll be kind of interesting, and I just wanted to remind you of it and tell you the links are in the description box, and I will keep them in for the month of April. Okay, the next thing I wanted to talk about very, very fast is I'm trying to make this a shorter video today because you're going to get me today and then you're going to get me again on Saturday. Remember, Saturday is when I will do the slideshow. And a lot of people have sent me work, and some people have sent me 6 and 8 and more pictures to show. I think I have to cut back on a few. But lots to see for the March cow. And of course, I know you're all waiting eagerly to see what the April flower is. Now you'll see on my mannequin back here, something that looks like it would fit in the cow. And it sure does. But I want to tell you honestly up front, I didn't make this for the cow. Maybe you recognize it as something I made just over a year ago, because this is the pattern from Reggie, and these were some of the minis I got in Reggie's advent calendar a year ago, not this past Christmas, December 22, December 21, first time I got a cow, a calendar, advent calendar, and I used the very beginning minis, which weren't my color, but went together very nicely. And I made this, and I was getting out my items for the sale at the end of April, and I came across this and I thought, oh, I could have fudged it and used this as my item for this month, because as you know, this is not my favorite color, so I don't usually work with it. But no, I did make a couple items that you will see on Saturday. But I just wanted to show this. Now I have, things don't do what you want when you're in a hurry. Now, I had another thing I wanted to do today. I thought, this being the end of March, 3 months of the year, we have done 1/4 of 2023, the year of Judy. And as you remember, at the beginning of the year, I set some goals. And I thought it would be a good idea to keep me on track, to just check and see how well I'm doing with my goals. So it'll only take a couple minutes to check it out, because I wrote all my goals down on a piece of paper, and I wanted to see if I was making any progress at all. I have a cat trying to get into something back there. Oh, wow. I'll have to get him later. So I'm looking at my goals, and I wrote them down in no particular order. And the first one was, and I hope you recall some of these, was to learn a new stitch or technique. And I've seen a few things since then, but at the time I wrote down that I wanted to maybe learn to do cables or mosaic. There was something else that came up the other day that I wanted to learn as well, but I haven't made any progress there. Although I have been looking at patterns, and I have been gathering possible patterns to do that. And I'm thinking mosaic will be the first thing I try. Maybe I'll get both of these done this year, but I definitely want to try something new this year. So no progress there. Then it said I wanted to use 2 or 3 EFA kits. Expression Fiber Arts brings out kits of yarns of colors that go together, often gradients, sometimes are just colors that would work together. And I have a lot of them, and I brought some out and showed you. And I want to use 2 or 3 of those this year. Well, I haven't used any this year, but I have started to look at them seriously and decide what I want to do. Now these, oh yes, of course, they would be upside down. This is one I just received this week, and I've decided this is going to be one of the first ones I use. This is Pearlescent Fingering. As you know, it's one of my favorites, and 550 yards, so there's a lot of yardage in the 3 together. I could probably make something and still have enough left over for something else. And these are the colors. Darker with browns and the burgundy rose, and then we get mostly the burgundies and the reds and pinks and then we go from the pinks and reds into the orange. But something about that, just so vibrant, and it is called Passionate Hues. So this is a beautiful kit, and now I got to think of something to do. So I'm putting that out there. If you can think of something this would be beautiful in, I'm thinking maybe a shawl, but maybe an asymmetric triangle. Asymmetric triangles have become a real favorite of mine lately. So I'm thinking maybe something out of that. But that is a kit I definitely will use. When I'll get around to it is another question. And I have one other kit here I have been looking at. I'm not sure if this is one I'll use right away, but this one is Cash Silk Sock called Bouquet Hues. I've had it a while. Cash Silk Sock is again one of my favorites. And this is how it looks. This is more in the purple lines. So purples and grays. I think it goes this way. I'm not too fond of this one. So I don't know whether to just use the two of them or go ahead and put it in and use some of it. Or put it aside, maybe put it in a giveaway. I'm not sure. It might look very pretty when you put it out. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So this is one kit I'm considering, but like I said, I haven't done any of them yet. I will get a couple done a little later in the year, but this part of the year I had so much that I had to get done, and you'll see about that the next step. So I haven't got to that yet, but it will get done. Okay, so we've done a little bit, not a lot yet. Next was learn Instagram, use it more. Well, I'm proud to say, although I'm not an expert yet at Instagram, I am posting more on it. And I have a friend, thank you, Cindy, out there who is trying to educate me in the use of Instagram. And I have been posting at the beginning of every month. I'm posting something to announce the Cal for the month. I'm going to start doing more with that. So I am making a little bit of progress on Instagram. Hopefully by the next quarter, I'll have even more. Next step, complete 3 or more whips. Well, there I have made progress. Here's a whip I just finished. I showed you that navy, it's buried now, but I showed you that navy top. That was a whip I finished. And a few weeks back, I showed you another poncho. It was made with V-stitch, and it was, I have a hair in my eye. I did a poncho that is a poncho from Crystal. It was V-stitch. And you remember I said it was so narrow this way, but really long on this. I put it over top of this, and it showed about that much of the sleeve on both sides, and yet it went longer than this V, by a good 3 inches. So that is 3 whips. There was another whip at the very beginning of the year as well. So I have made progress on whips, and I have 2 more for sure I'm going to do this year. One of them is that purple one. I ripped it out, and I'm going to make something else. Okay, I said I was going to make 2 or 3 sweaters. Well, the navy sweater I showed you that's over here, that's one sweater I completed. Now I'm working on the cardigan, and that's another sweater I'm going to complete within the next week. And I'm going to interrupt this video. Maybe I'll interrupt it right here and show you a delivery I'm going to get later today. I'm going to get a delivery of some yarn. So I'll talk more about that when I interrupt the video. So I'm going to stop it right here. So I was just talking to you about sweaters, and I had received notification that this parcel was going to arrive today. So I thought I would videotape this little clip and interject it into the video for this week. So I have been planning for a while to make this sweater, and I had to wait until they actually dyed the yarn that I wanted. I mentioned this in a previous video talking about sweaters and a pattern that EFA released as a free pattern. Now I'm going to just sit aside for a second and insert the picture of the sweater I want to make. And it was a free pattern from EFA. I don't imagine it's still free anymore, but I did tell you about it at the time. And it looks like a fairly straightforward sweater. So they were saying it had to be made with, well, they were suggesting Dewey DK, but it should be made with a DK weight, which sounded like a good weight to make. But I didn't have enough, I didn't have more than single skeins of any Dewey DK. I have very little of it. And the colors they showed, there was one I really liked, and they only had one skein, and I contacted them and asked if there was any chance they'll be dyeing more of it. And she talked to Shandy and came back and said, sure, we'll put it on pre-order. You go ahead and order as much as you need. And I believe I had to order 8 skeins. So here it is. It's called Blue Hydrangeas Dewey DK. And I have a bag full of them here now. And Dewey DK is 70% superwash, 20% nylon, and 10% silk. The color of this one looks a little better than this. This one's coming apart, so I'll actually take it apart. But I have to tell you, this one looks really yellow compared to that, although I'm sure they were all dyed together. Here it is. See all the speckles in it? And I think some have a little more blue and some have a little more yellow. And I will figure out if I start from the bottom. I think this pattern starts from the bottom. So I will put the yellow ones at the bottom. There's the color I like most in there, right there. And then the ones that are a little more blue, this one looks a little more blue, see in here? I see some that don't have as much of any color. There's one more yellow. But anyhow, I have my Dewey DK in Blue Hydrangeas. And this is a pattern I said I would probably do in April, and I will do it in April. I need to finish the 2 things I'm working on now. And I have a plan for an asymmetrical scarf I really want to make. Oh, and I have to make my April cowl, which I will be showing you on Saturday. And then I think I will get around to doing this. So I just wanted to insert this little clip showing you today. I don't generally show you my EFA purchases. There are so many of them. But I did want you to see this yarn and the plan for the pattern. So stay tuned and watch for when this gets started. I will soon be caking some of this up. So now back to our regular scheduled program. Okay, so how did you like that new yarn that I received? And that is going to make a beautiful sweater. So complete or make 2 or 3 sweaters. I definitely will have 3, and you know I'm going to make some more later in the year, so I'll definitely make that one. Keep up with shawls. Hopefully, I was hoping 2 a month, but it hasn't been 2 a month, but I have made a couple of shawls so far. Remember about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I showed you that nice pinkish one I made with Shawl on the Ball Fab. That went into the donation box. I believe there was another one in there already. Not a lot, but I figured I had lots of time yet. They weren't going to get them till the fall, and I needed to get certain things done now. Specifically, I wanted to get some work on sweaters done. But I will do more on the shawls as the year progresses. And we have found out that there are other things that they would like as well as shawls. So instead of so many shawls, I might make scarves or ponchos for children or something like that. And finally, the last item on my list was to do a couple hours per week on cross stitch. So I'm going to interrupt the video again, and I want to take you up to see my cross stitch progress. So hang on. Wasn't going before. Oh, shoot. Okay. So here is the cross stitch picture on the frame. And you can probably see, because I will put the picture down here in this corner from Christmas so you can compare. And you can see that I have rolled the picture up around the scrolls so that I could work farther down the picture. You only get so much working space. And I wanted to concentrate in this area down here. And this is the section, if you look at the one at the side, this is the section that I have completed since the first of the year. Now, it doesn't look like a big section, and it's not huge in comparison to the whole picture, but it is, these are tiny stitches, and it is a lot of work. I haven't worked every week on it, but I would say I've worked probably 9 or 10 of the weeks out of the 3 months, and at least an hour and a half each week. So that's how much I've finished since January. And my next step is, you can see there's a row not finished there. My next step is to work down this way in the dark green that goes along here. That's my next section. And then maybe there's a little green over here somewhere too. Okay, back again. Lots of interruptions. So, yes, some progress is being made on cross stitch. Not as much as I had hoped, but the year is still young. And now to finish up this week, I have one yarn acquisition to show you because I already did show you some. I wasn't intending to because I generally don't show EFA yarn. But I did want to show one of the many that are piled here on my table today. And so I'm going to start with this color. The yarn I'm showing you is from the company The Color of My Fiber. Now, for those of you that have been with me a while, you'll know that I've shown yarn from this company before. And she is on Etsy, and I will put the link to her shop in the description box below. Now, the reason I made this order, I made it a fair while back. Did I make it before Christmas? I might have. In my last order with her, got a skein of this. This is bamboo and merino. Is there anything else? I guess it's just bamboo and merino. I thought there might be nylon, but there isn't. And it feels lovely, and bamboo gives it a sheen almost like silk. And it has it's fingering 390 meters, so 425 yards. And I thought I wanted to make a sweater, but I had a different one that I decided to make a sweater. But I wanted two, in case I wanted to do something larger. Oftentimes one is not enough for what you want to do. So I wanted another. And by the way, this company is located in Quebec. Might even be Montreal, or just outside of Montreal. And I like to shop Canadian as much as I possibly can, especially when today I made an order and the exchange rate is over 40% now. I don't know exactly, 41, 42, but it's over 40%. So I need to stay in Canada making my purchases. But of course, I didn't order just one skein because you end up paying too much shipping. So, and she had a lot that I wanted, I had to pull back. So I got, the other reason I wanted to get something at the time was I had done that um, sort of like a scarf, a V'd scarf from CJ Brady that was meant to be done with tweed. And I don't know if you recall, but I had problems with the tweed I had, and I eventually put it with a darker, heavier, dark brown, and it ended up being heavier than DK, and I didn't make the proper shape. I just made a big asymmetrical triangle, and I said I want to do it again, and I want to use the proper yarn and make the proper pattern. So she had this tweed, and the tweed is 300 meters, sorry, 390 meters, and it's 80% wool, 20% viscose. And I really like the tweed there. So I know it might be able to be done with one skein, but I have two just in case. Although I got some other tweeds, as you saw before, and who knows which one I'll use. But I think this one will work for that pattern. So, of course, while I was buying those, I had to buy more. And I ended up buying this one, which is Castle Door. It's Superwash Merino, 75 Merino, 15 cashmere, and 10 silk. So that would be very similar to Cash Silk from EFA, but this has, I mean, there is a cashmere feel, but it also has a silky feel. You don't feel this much in Cash Silk. But anyhow, a little bit different than I normally get, and I was looking for different things, so I'm happy with that. That's really nice and soft. And then I got this one. I was trying to buy different bases so I could compare them. And this is regular fingering, 400 meters, and it's 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon. But it was the color I fell in love with. I think I would do this as a single skein and just get the beauty of those, the gradient in that. I think it's a very pretty dark cherry kind of color. Look at the dark flecks in there. And then finally, of course, I had to get me some sparkle. So here's one. It looks the same, but it isn't. See, this is very pink, and this is more burgundy, and it's 390 meters again, and it's superwash merino. It says it's cashmere and stellina. Oh, okay. And really nice sparkle in there. And the other one, same specs, but in this color. And I don't tend to buy a lot of green, but this one really, I wonder about together. This one really took my fancy. I might do that as a single skein project as well. So that's my acquisition this week. We're getting a little bit caught up on acquisitions, and I hope you enjoyed seeing my progress on my goals for this year. And next week, by the way, don't forget, I expect to see you back here on Saturday, where I will have all of the items you have made this month, and I will have the April color flower for the month. It's a little bit different than the last have been. So I hope you enjoyed what you saw today, and until we're together again, happy hooking.